Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. If you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into all of these sectors, topics, looking for potential investment opportunities. You can see my portfolio. You can see what I'm buying. I have that all logged and documented. And I'm also putting together a portfolio in front of everyone, showing you the positions when I put them on and the exact positions and sizes. If that sounds interesting to you, Mayday coupon code is the coupon code to use for a discount if you'd like to follow. We also have a midweek update being released tomorrow. So let's dive in here, take a look, and see what's going on. We're starting with the dollar, and the dollar is flat today, but we are seeing some action over in the yields, the bond market, that are heading lower. So we are up in the short to intermediate term. I'm looking for potential rollover if yields continue lower. And really, what this is the dollar possesses strength generally related to its strength of its bond market and yields. So we've gone on up, and I'm looking for a potential rollover at some point due to yields. We're seeing the 2-year yield fall. We've got a little bit of selling pressure today. I don't know if it will be the ultimate move where we roll on over, but we are going sideways, kind of squeezing up to some degree. We'll see which way we go. The 10-year is getting a little bit more selling pressure. It is a bearish engulfing candlestick, which generally will work its way lower with time. So that's looking a little bit more bearish on the longer end of the curve. And then the 30-year is also selling off. Another bearish engulfing here right at that resistance level that we were talking about up here and here. And we'll see if we get any sort of momentum that is built. So a lot of these, what you'll see are bearish engulfing or bearish piercing candlesticks in these areas here. And that's what we are focusing on. TYX-TNX ratio, we came down where the yield curve inverted a little bit. Not a huge surge for gold, but we're down just a little bit, about 0.35%. We are located in an area that's got a lot of upside potential, where we've got a long runway for yields to uninvert and for gold to take off, and silver. TLT bond prices, with those yields dropping, means bond prices are going up. We are at that support level. We have a bullish engulfing yesterday, which suggested that we could potentially go higher, which we did. We were up 1.25%, and we could see this start to change and work its way on up. So bigger picture view, what you essentially have is a breakout of the downtrend, and then the retest is what we're putting in. So I think that we have the potential to move our way on up with bond prices and yields going down. That is a tailwind behind precious metals, for sure. The 2 and 10, we inverted the curve some with the curve dropping. So the 10-year went down more than the short end of the curve, the 2-year, resulting with the curve going up a little bit. The curve did fall. So that's going to be a little bit bullish for gold because the curve fell. And it does look like we could see further yields dropping. So gold's up about $12.5 an ounce. This looks incredibly bullish. We've got a bullish engulfing. We've got a pattern that we've broken to the upside. And we've got the bullish engulfing, and we've got a retest of that breakout. I think this looks good to go higher. Higher is what I'm seeing. So that looks really good. I think silver looks really good. We are still above all of these resistance support levels. So resistance support coming on up. We were up there. Gold starting to work its way on up, and let's see if silver gets ignited here. And we start to move sideways or higher is what my guess would be. Platinum down a little bit. We still haven't broken out of this long-term resistance area. I'm going to get these things out of here real quick for you guys. We're ready to break at some point in the future, and I think it will break when oil and inflation comes back. I think we're going to rip. In the short term, if yields continue to go lower, I think gold and silver could do pretty well in the short term. Palladium down 1.8%, looking like we've pulled on back here. Not too bad, but closer to support, and I still think we go higher. GDX up 1.25%, GDXJ up 1.45%, and SILJ up 1%. All of those look extremely well to move higher. And if you guys want ideas on how to play this bull market, I will be talking about that during the midweek update for the companies that I like in this space. XEU to gold ratio, we are still at incredibly low levels, all the way down in no man's land. We don't have a ton of selling pressure here. It looks coiled for a move higher. What does that mean? It means that the gold and silver mining companies could very well outperform gold itself. And I think gold looks good to go higher. So that means I am bullish on gold and silver mining companies. Crude oil getting sold off today, about 4%. We've pulled on back. We were squeezing here, right? And then all of a sudden we get this news out of Israel pushing us lower. What I will say is the news, at least looking at what Israel came out with, says that they didn't release anything of that news. Sometimes they release news, America does, to push the markets down before something bad happens on a potential move higher. We'll see if that occurs. To me, this looked like a pretty good opportunity, double bottom coming on up, broken, and this could be a retest that is, we'll say, overdrawn to the downside. So that's what I'm seeing there in oil, and we'll see over the next few days how this trades. Now, some of the equities don't look all that strong, so we'll see. TTF gas right at resistance, just down a little bit, down 1.4%. Natural gas in America continuing its move lower, down 0.32%, and that does have a little bit of momentum behind it. Patience. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, down 3.88. We are still above this trend line here. Is this an ultimate return retest? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. The short-term volatility on oil and oil equities is quite high here. There's a lot of geopolitical crap going on. The news is in there. The elections are there, and they don't want the price of oil to go up for the elections. I've seen a couple of false released articles, one of them being today that was released of Israel not bombing Iran's oil infrastructure. And then there's another release of OPEC trying to increase production to basically bankrupt Permian producers. But OPEC came out and said they didn't say that, and Israel came out and said they didn't say that. So kind of weird how we're getting all this information flown out during an election area, and it's doing it all over here when the election is coming. OIH also selling off 3.82%. So here we are, and that's pretty strong selling pressure. So we have strong selling pressure here, consolidation, strong selling pressure there, and this is angled upward, guys. You could say that's angled upward, and we could go lower. In the short term, we could still see some selling pressure in the energy area. Still on the cards on the table still. Newcastle coal futures down a little bit. We're right up against that support resistance line. Right up against it. I'd like to see this thing break on through. Sprout Physical Uranium Trust, we are getting some selling pressure. Bigger selling pressure candlestick today. It is a bearish engulfing, and we could see sideways to lower on this in the short term. Uranium price, futures pricing down slightly, still looks okay. Not much selling pressure. URA, we are up slightly, right up against resistance. For URA, we are a little bit off resistance, but has the same typical pattern as URA as URNM and URNJ, very similar to it. Tough call on what energy is going to do here in the short term with oil popping lower here. The elections are coming up, and I know how important lower oil prices and gasoline prices are for elections. And they know that too. Copper down 1.42%. Looks like we're getting some momentum built to the downside. So that momentum is building to the downside. And I think that will continue lower. COPX, a little bit of selling pressure. We popped out. We might get a return move back somewhere in that 41, 42 level. Iron ore up a little bit. It's holding on. It's like squeezing, consolidating in that area up there. We've got aluminum selling off a little bit against resistance. That resistance line up here, selling off, and it looks like we could potentially head lower and stay within that channel. Nickel down a little bit, but I still think that this is going to work its way on up. It's flagging or pennant formation, something like that is brewing, and it's a double bottom. We've got Moo down 1%, but again, guys, I still think this looks really good. We are coming down, and that looks like we could come back maybe here, and that's probably a good spot to look for a potential entry point. It's a flag pattern. Your lead-in is going to be like that, so probably down there. And we've got stronger buying pressure, weaker selling pressure. So that looks good for a potential entry in the future sometime. Emerging markets down about 2%, coming on down. Little flag pattern there, so maybe we come back and do a retest, which is, it does that all the time, guys. It fills gaps, does a retest, checks a lot of the boxes there. KRE up 1%, looking like it's trying to break out of that awesome pattern I drew a long time ago. It still looks bullish in my opinion. TAN down 3.5%. That does not look good. We are coming back below support. We'll see what occurs there. Lithium also selling off, and I do think we could come and do a retest even. If we get that retest, I will be reloading up on my favorite lithium stocks and maybe even add one or two. REMX down a little bit too. It's following lithium and the solar crew, so that's heading on back. Baltic Dry Index right on support for the most part, heading up just a little bit higher. We've got XHB continuing up a little bit, 0.1%. Little bit of resistance through there. You can see the wick at the top there. So we get some resistance every time we come up here. So there's a resistance area that we're trying to break. We've got the Russell 2000 up 0.05. A little bit of resistance there as well, much like XHB. But it looks good. At least we've broken out and maybe we get a return move or something like that before heading higher. SPX down some. It is a bearish engulfing. Looks like we could potentially head lower in the short term with that bearish engulf. We can go sideways or lower is what I would be looking for. The NASDAQ also got a bearish engulfing, which very well could be a move lower. Keep in mind too that you can also do something on the lines of this, which is the Mr. Batman pattern. We could head lower potentially. We'll see if the plunge protection team gets in here and tries to force it on higher. SMCI up a little bit, kind of flagging out. Well, I need more data here, guys. Not a ton of buying pressure or selling pressure is going on. We enter this upward and we're squeezing up here, but I got to see if we break to the upside. Then I would say it's bullish. If we throw in a big fat, red candlestick or something like that, then it's bearish again. Nvidia down 4.5%. We've got these two big bearish engulfings here now, right at the same level. It's that Batman pattern. What's up, Batman? What's going on, man? His eyes are a little close together there, but we'll see if there's any follow through to the downside with it. Bitcoin up 1.5. It's trying to break out of this pattern here. We'll see if it breaks soon. And then Ethereum down about 1.5, but still, to me, looks bullish. It's a little bloody nose. Still looks good to go higher in the short term. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you'd like. Mayday coupon code, M-A-Y-D-A-Y, one word. It's 50% off the first month. It is, you can always go from a monthly to a yearly if you'd like, and you will get a bigger discount if you want to do that, if you want to stay on for a year. Midweek updates coming tomorrow. I might release it tonight. We'll see. And I talk about all these different sectors and go into all of the individual companies and chart the individual companies and give my opinions about all that. So that's what you get during the midweek update. The question and answer sessions, we'll be talking about risk reward on companies. And then we'll get into some other topics as well in the Q&A sessions that people want me to cover. So we'll get in there. I'll give my opinions, and you can see how risk, different companies, different risks, and kind of how they move, at least in my opinion. And then I'll describe a couple of setups looking backwards of sector risk versus company risk and kind of how that all plays out. All right, guys, that's what I've got for today. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.